What's up guys, it's your boy Dekkster here, and Rise of Shadows has been out for almost a month now, and the meta, it's kind of stabilizing in a way. We're just going to be going over some statistics that Vicious Syndicate has provided here. I'm not affiliated with Vicious Syndicate, but be sure to check them out. They'll be linked in the description below. They write a great report every week. Be sure to read it. It is fantastic, and it will go into more detail than this video. Also, I stream on Twitch. Be sure to check that out. But let's jump into class archetype distribution. If we look at all ranks, we can kind of see we got a little bit of a rogue problem here. 22.5% rogue with 16.9% warrior and then 16.1% hunter. Right below that, we got Mage at 11.9%, and then Druid's just fallen off. Not a lot of Shaman, even less Warlock, Priest, and Paladin dead last. We jump ranks 4 to 1, and you're seeing even more rogues, also more hunters, even more warriors, Mage, Druid, and then once again, I mean, it seems kind of like we got a rogue problem here, right? Especially if we look at Legend, almost 30% of everything you see in Legend is going to be rogue, followed by warrior, hunters, mages, and it's kind of the same from there. But my god, there are so many rogues just because Lackey rogue is just so good right now. Let's look at class frequency. We can see by week here. Well, it's quite sloppy. Let's look at by day, actually. So we can see rogue has always been popular at 20%, but it's just climbing up constantly as people realize they might as well just play Lackey rogue if they want to win games. Warrior started a bit higher, but has dropped, but still very, very popular, barely beaten out by Hunter. Hunter has been very, very pop in these last few days because of Bomb Hunter, which is good against Warrior, and it just destroys Conjuring Mages as well. It's not that great against rogue, but it's not the worst matchup ever. So that's why Hunter's kind of popping here. And then below that, we got Mage because Conjuring Mage is so good. It's a fun deck as well. And then under that, we got Shaman, which is mostly muck morphers, right? Maybe you guys should play more Murloc. Looks like Murloc's pretty good. Druid just falling off. Like, my god, look, it was peaking pretty high, pretty fast. Like, Druid was like a rocket, man, going up real fast as people were discovering Token Druid to be quite good. And then it's plummeting. It's dropping really fast as people are switching to decks like Bomb Hunter and Lackey Rogue. So we can look at matchup win rates here, and oh my god, look at Rogue. There's just so much green there. Only bad matchup for Rogue seems to be Warrior, Bomb Warrior and Control Warrior. And if you see a class with so much green, it's like you might as well play it if you want to win, right? And then if there's so many rogues, 30% rogues, maybe you want to play Warrior to kind of counter that. You know how to read this thing. Green is good, red is bad. All right, we got power rankings here. Let's look at all ranks first. For tier 1, we got Lackey Rogue and Bomb Hunter. Right underneath there, we got Mech Paladin, Bomb Warrior, Control Warrior, Murloc Shaman, Token Druid, Conjuring Mage, and then Zoo Warlock. If we look at ranks 4 to 1, only Lackey Rogue as a tier 1 deck. This is pretty sad. Right below it, we got Bomb Hunter, then Control Warrior, Bomb Warrior, Murloc Shaman, and Mech Paladin. Zoo Lock barely missing out on tier 2, getting that tier 3 with a 49.99. Then if we look at Legend, you could see also only one tier 1 deck, which is Lackey Rogue. Closely behind that, you got Bomb Hunter and Murloc Shaman, but it does seem like Lackey Rogue's kind of just the best. So if you've been waiting to craft the deck, because, you know, you're broke, you're tied on dust, this might be the one. Although it seems like if anything's going to get hit by a nerf, it's probably going to be Lackey Rogue in one way or another. So Bomb Hunter is also a great choice if you're just looking to craft, you know, a great deck. Lackey Rogue, Bomb Hunter. Let's look at the Metascore chart here. I really, really like looking at the Metascore chart, but this time it's not as exciting. There are very few decks on here compared to normal previous expansions, but you can see at the meta peak is Lackey Rogue. The further to the right is the higher the power of the deck. The further to the right on the x-axis, the higher the power of the deck. The further up, the higher on the y-axis is the frequency, how much you're going to be seeing that deck. So you're going to be seeing a ton of Lackey Rogue, and it's incredibly good. You're going to be seeing a ton of Bomb Hunter, and it's also incredibly good. Next best deck, Control Warrior, and then Bomb Warrior. So if you want to play something relatively off meta, but still has a high power score, maybe look into Murloc Shaman, maybe look into Mech Paladin and Zoo Warlock. I don't feel like Zoo Warlock's off meta, but I guess not a lot of people are playing it anymore. So yeah, it does seem like like a nerf is kind of necessary for Rogue. The power level is just a little bit too high. And since I started my content creation career, which was 2 years ago, there has been a nerf every 2 months after an expansion. There have been times where Blizzard will say, we're not going to change anything. We like the way the game is. And then they do a nerf anyways. So because the expansion came out in April, you can expect a nerf in June at the latest. Unless, history does not repeat itself. But it's healthy for them to patch the game in order to freshen it up and bring people back who are sick of seeing Rogue and might just quit. So I don't see why they wouldn't nerf, even though they're saying they're not thinking about it right now. If they did do nerfs, let me know what kind of nerfs you think they should do. I think they should touch Rogue in some way. I think it's probably Raiding Party and Waggle Pick. They should probably touch Warrior in some way by nerfing the Dr. Boom hero card. It is just too good. I think something as simple as removing the rush from mechs or toning down the 7 armor gain, like that's enough, really. But then if they nerf those, I'm worried that Mage is going to be a little bit too good. Conjurer's Calling is just so strong. But yeah, hopefully we get news on a patch in the future. All right, so I'm going to go through each class and talk about a deck that stands out to me. It doesn't mean it's the best deck. This doesn't mean you should go out and craft this deck. It's just one that stuck out to me from the reports. Before we jump into this, if you do enjoy the content, please give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. But all right, let's get started. So Hunter's in an interesting spot right now. We do have the Bomb Hunter, which is amazing. It's doing fantastic against pretty much the entire field, but it absolutely destroys warriors and mages. The poison effect here is so good and it's so annoying to play against. It's just so strong right now. Plus all the magnets constantly building up your dudes. No one's running silences right now. And then you could just put out so much pressure. Make a big dude that your opponent has to kill. And then if they kill it, they take 2 damage in the face. And if they don't kill it, you make it even taller. Maybe you go Missile Launcher and a Venomizer and you clear their whole board. On turn 7, you can throw down Flark. Then you can slam all those bombs into them and make them die. It's very aggressive. It's very hard to deal with all the threats. Bomb Hunter. Definitely a front runner. If you're looking for a deck besides Rogue, this is probably the one. And then we got other cool lists from Hunter. We got the mid-range, which isn't performing as nicely. And then Secret Hunter, which also not performing as nicely, but with some refinement might be quite a good deck. So Mage is performing a lot nicer than I thought it would be right now. We got the Conjure Mage, which is absolutely nutty. Constantly putting out those big threats, throwing out Mountain Giants because the hand size is so big, hitting it with the Conjures, which could turn into a Giant and a Grave Horror. But what I want to talk about more is this Sandbinder Miracle Mage. I know Asmodai hit rank 17 Legend with a very similar list, and my god, this one is a lot of fun. It feels very skill intensive. So many different plays that can be done every turn. Very thought-provoking. If you're looking for a challenge and a top-performing deck, I definitely recommend this. It's really good at stalling your opponent. Like Ray of Frost is just huge. One of my favorite cards for Mage from this expansion. We also got the Mountain Giants in here, which you could throw out and hit with the Conjurer's Calling. We got the Sandbinder in here, which can not only pull your Giants, but it can also pull Mana Cyclones. And Mana Cyclones are these turns where you just go off. Maybe you have a ton of 1 mana cards. You have Apprentice and Cyclone in hand. You throw the Apprentice down. You go Mirror Image, a few Ray of Frost, a couple magic tricks. Then you hit an Elemental Evocation. And you can throw your Mana Cyclone down and just get a ton of random Mage spells back. And Mage spells are generally pretty good, so you're usually going to like what you get. And because you can cycle all these things, we're throwing in Questing Adventures as well. Those guys can get really big. If your opponent can't answer your QA, you usually just run away with the game. We can also make a ton of late game value here with Antonidas. You throw down Antonidas and you just keep a couple spells in hand. Maybe it's a couple Ray of Frosts. You go Antonidas, 3 Ray of Frosts, 2 Ray of Frosts in a Mirror Image, whatever. Get those balls back in hand. If they don't deal with your Antonidas, they're probably going to die. And if they do deal with your Antonidas, hopefully those 3 balls you got are enough to kill them. Banana Buffoon just genius in here because it makes your hand size bigger, which makes your Giant cheaper. But not only that, makes your QAs huge, and it adds to that cycle from your Mana Cyclone. Khadgar here also amazing. Not only does he work with Conjurer's Calling, but he works with Mirror Image. So if you're against a rogue, you can almost just win the game by going Khadgar and playing a couple Mirror Images. Really enjoying that list. Be sure to check it out. So Shaman in an okay spot, actually. The big Shaman, the Muckmorpher Shaman, seems to be doing quite well. Board Control piloting it to high ranks, and a lot of people piloting it to high ranks, actually. but I'm going to talk about Murloc Shaman. Now, Murloc Shaman seems underplayed, but it's quite good. The tribal synergy here is just fantastic, being able to constantly vomit Murlocs onto the board. Your opponent is usually going to run out of answers. We got the Toxfin as a response to any big threats like a mountain giant or something. We got Earthshock here, which could just destroy taunts as well, so you could punch him in the face. Bloodlust, if you have a board full of Murlocs, is just going to be insane. And then we got Hagatha the Witch as late game value. You don't have to play this super aggressive. You could play it a little bit more mid-rangey if you want, and then late game you get the Hagatha down, and then maybe you go to town with an Underbelly Angler. You can throw the Angler and just cycle a ton of dudes, get a ton of spells, get a ton of Murlocs. Very good. It's very fun, and it's actually one of the cheaper decks out there. All right, for Druid, we got Token Druid. It doesn't seem like the Heal Druid is that good. The Lucian Bark Druids just kind of fell off, because if you ever get polymorphed or hexed, that kind of sucks. And if you get sapped, you're just losing so much. But we have Token Druid, which seems to be top performing Druid deck. Although its popularity is falling off, it's still rather good. Per Vicious Syndicate, the Crystalsong version is still the best. It seems like when you switch it up, the deck actually performs worse. So this is the list they're recommending. You know the game plan. Flood the board constantly. Maybe it's Whispering Woods and Soul of the Forest. Maybe they clear that, and then you hit it with the Force Aid. They clear that, you hit it with another one, and then another one, and then another one. And then that one time they can't clear it, you use Savage Roar, you punch them in the face, and they're dead. All right, so next up, we got one of the worst performing classes here. Priest. One I've actually been enjoying a ton recently. I actually really like Nomi Priest, although Vicious Syndicate swears it's terrible. There have been people performing quite nicely with it. I love it. I think it's a lot of fun. I was also playing a Villain Priest, which I guess it's not the best, but it's a lot of fun as well. And then most recently, Wall Priest. Vicious Syndicate says Wall Priest is the closest thing a priest has to a playable archetype, and they think it's gonna suck, and they recommend this Wall Priest deck, which seems like it would do okay, but I'm gonna go ahead and recommend my deck instead. There is not a large sample size for this. I've played over 100 games and it's performing nicely. I'm getting a lot of people telling me they're performing nicely with it. And the reason I don't like the Vicious Syndicate build is because it has Cleric in there, and Wall Cleric is draw, and that's great and all. If you use, you know, Catrina or your Mass Resurrection and pulls back a Cleric, you kind of just lose the game. It's terrible. Shade Quill's also kind of trash. Like, what are you using the Shade Quill for? I don't know. I like my version. Here it is, check it out. I have quite a few videos on it, and I just really love the playstyle of it. Having Catrina and the Seances as extra value lets you win out against those classes that have a ton of removal, like Warrior. Turn 10 Catrina Seance is nuts. And then your Mass Reses are always going to hit huge things, not stupid Clerics. And if anything ever sticks, you hit it with the old combo of Divine, Divine Inner, and you win. The thing that sucks about this deck is poison, and you're going to see a lot of poison because of those hunters. It also sucks against sap. Sap is so bad. Sap sucks so much. You don't care if they kill your things. Like, you throw down an Infiltrator, they can kill it. You don't care. But if they sap it, that is just the worst. So if Rogue kind of takes a step back, I feel like this is going to be a real sleeper hit. We also got Warlock here, and it seems like Carpet Zoo Warlock is the best. It's a great answer to Token Druid. If you're seeing tons of Token Druid, try this out. The Magic Carpet puts in so much work. You have so many 1-drops. If your opponent can't respond to the carpet, they're going to get rocked. Sea Giants are fantastic because you flood the board so easily. You're going to get a cheap Sea Giant. And then we got Archvillain Rafam, which is pretty cool. Sometimes he wins games he shouldn't win. Like, my opponent played a Rafam against me, and I dealt with it, and he top decked a Crush when I had exactly 8 health as I was about to turn the corner. So try Rafam. He works sometimes. All right, and then last up, we got Paladin here. Got so much value through the whelps, bringing the whelps back, making huge magnetized dudes we can bring back with the Endless Army. It's fantastic. And then we got the secret package here, which makes Mysterious Blade and Sunreaver Spy quite nice. We got Rissa, which triggers the secrets twice. But what sucks here is you make a big mech, and then those rogues, they sap your big mech. Feels bad. You throw down a whelp, they sap it. You throw down Tyrion, they sap it. So it struggles against that. But you do have a lot of value here, and you can usually win out games against slower decks like Warriors, because you have the Mechano Eggs, which summon huge things. You got the Whelps, which summon huge things. And then if they can actually respond to all those, you have Endless Army to bring them back. I do feel like there's hope for Paladin somewhere. Maybe the secret package just isn't there yet and everyone's getting debated into playing it. Like, is Mysterious Blade really that much better than a True Silver? I don't know, maybe it is, but Rissa seems disappointing. Actually running secrets just feels disappointing. You never want to actually draw one of your secrets. But yeah, I mean, hopefully Paladin gets some reinforcement and gets better. So we got Rogue, the obvious front runner here. And Lackey Rogue is obviously number one. And the coolest Lackey Rogue to me is this Togwaggle Lackey Rogue. Mostly because it has Togwaggle in it, and he's a lot of fun, being able to choose a treasure and all that. Pretty cool, but this deck is just nuts. Even if you run a Togwaggle-less version, it's gonna do great. So I'm pretty sure you're probably seeing this everywhere on the ladder. You're probably pretty used to it. The weirdest choice here seems to be Life Drinker, which has been a recent inclusion. You can play out that Life Drinker. You don't feel bad getting it back from a Waggle pick. It heals you up a little bit. It hurts your opponent a little bit, and it overall just seems to fit the archetype quite nicely. We have Evil Cable Rats in here and Miscreants to get those lackeys so they can trigger the Togwaggle effect. And then of course the deck is just nutty because of stuff like Raiding Party, which will pull your Waggle picks and your Dread Corsairs and your other pirates. Of course, you can equip the Waggle pick and get free 0-mana 3/3s with Taunt. So if you want to know the deck, this is kind of it. Read the report. There's a Togwaggle-less version. That one's a bit cheaper because it's one less legendary. All right, for Warrior, obviously Control Warrior is like the most popular version. I'm not a big fan of Control Warrior. I do not enjoy the 1 hour matchups. They're not fun for me, but if you do like this sort of thing, try it out. It's doing great right now. Mechathune Warrior, also pretty poppin' right now. A lot of people playing Mechathune because your opponent might think you're going for that super long con, and then you just you destroy them with your Mechathune combo. But the Bomb Warrior is what I'm going to talk about here. It is a deck that can go the distance because we're running Archivist. Has a bunch of the bones of the control deck, but it's got that bomb package, which is exciting. A lot of people wanted a Bomb Warrior to be a thing, and it is a thing. We got the Elix in here and the Clockwork Goblins. You got the Wrench Caliber, then you got Blast Master Boom, which is just insane. If you could pull it off with at least 2 bombs in your opponent's deck, it's so annoying to deal with. This deck seems quite good against decks that are trying to cycle quickly, draw fast, because they're going to end up drawing those bombs. So against something like a Nomi Priest, maybe this could be really annoying for them. So if you want to play Bomb Warrior, it's doing great right now. Are you enjoying the meta? Do you think there needs to be a patch relatively soon? I mean, there's a ton of Rogue out there, and I've come up with so many decks that seem strong and good, but they just get wrecked by Rogue. Me personally, I'm getting wrecked by Sap the most, but Raiding Party is an issue. And I feel like if Raiding Party wasn't so much of an issue, I wouldn't really care about the Sap that much. And I'm not saying they should nerf Sap. I just say it's really annoying when I'm trying to play Wall Priest, you know? So yeah, I do stream. Don't forget to follow my Twitch if you aren't following it yet. If you do enjoy my content, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. Good luck on ladder and stay hydrated.